What's your reaction to Odell being excused from practice again?
I think it was the appropriate decision to make. Let me say this. I don't know if Baker Mayfield has ever looked better. Let's take this into consideration here. We all know what I've said, just so you know, Bart, because you might not have been on with me when I've said this. There's no excuse to be targeting and not having a better connection with a receiver the caliber of Odell Beckham Jr. in my estimation. And I definitely think that there were ego clashes involved, and that's something that cannot happen with your receiver and your quarterback. And as the quarterback, you being the leader, I do hold you culpable for that more so than even a wide receiver. Having said all of that, Odell Beckham Jr. handled this wrong. There's no way on earth that your daddy, nobody's believing that your daddy just compiled that stuff for social media and put it out there and you had nothing to do with it. You had something to do with that, okay? It's a bad look when your parents get involved in the public stratosphere to make your point and your case for you. Ultimately, that comes back to you, which is why he doesn't need to be in that locker room today. But the reason why I say on this particular morning, Baker Mayfield has never looked better, I see why Cleveland loves him. I'm talking about the city. You know what I'm saying? Because he could have gone, you know that he want to go off. He's got that kind of moxie, that kind of swag with him. You know, he ain't scared to speak his mind, which he's taught us over the years. You know, he's very, very candid. He did not lie to anybody yesterday, but he was very respectful and very professional, even though he was still being real. You can look on his face. You see the pregnant pauses, the hesitation. You know what I'm saying? The kind of things when you're communicating with your facial expressions, your body language, and you're communicating with silence, with things you don't say that people obviously know that you're tempted to say. He did all of that yesterday while remaining within the boundaries of showing respect and decorum. I got to give Baker Mayfield a lot of credit because no matter what's going on with him and Odell Beckham Jr., the bottom line is he shouldn't have had to deal with something involving Odell Beckham Jr.'s daddy. Yeah. And the fact that that happened makes Odell Beckham Jr. look bad, whether it was his fault or not, whether he was involved or not. It just makes you look bad. Baker Mayfield could have pounced on it, and nobody could have said a word. He did not do that. He left that for everybody else to do. I think it was smart. I think it was shrewd. I think it was incredibly professional. And I think that he showed you yesterday why the folks in Cleveland like him, but why the media should like him a little bit more, because guess what? He didn't lie. He didn't lie. And I got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, Stephen A., I totally agree, man. I think it was one of, if not his best days as a professional. If we remember the conversation about Baker Mayfield coming out of school, it was he's this kind of egotistical, brash, childlike behavior, and he's never going to mature to be a franchise quarterback. And I think yesterday was his greatest day as a professional when it came to that role. That being said, Odell Beckham needs to be gone from the Cleveland Browns. This should be the final straw that your quarterback, who's playing with a broken left shoulder, has to answer this question Wednesday in really a game week that is a must-win against the division rival. He's got to answer questions about his play, and he's got to defend his play when it comes to, right now, one of your star receivers. You cannot function as an organization with Odell Beckham continue to be a part of that locker room or that football team. When I saw that he was excused from today's practice, my mind went to Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. I think they're the two best coaches in the NFL when it comes to handling the noise and dealing with the elephant in the room. What would both of those coaches do right now today? I truly believe that they would move on from Odell Beckham because it's the best thing for the football team. Mike Tomlin talks all the time that we'd rather have volunteers than hostages. Right now, Odell is holding your football team hostage. He's holding your quarterback hostage, so to speak, when it comes to what transpired in his silence after the video that his father released. If the Browns want any chance to save their season and contend to make the playoffs, they need to move on from Odell Beckham today.
I think he'll be doing Odell a favor. I think he would welcome that. Thank you very much.
That's what this is about.
He really wants to get out of there. But listen, Baker Mayfield, listen, when are we starting to hold our kids accountable for what our parents say, right? Or what our wives say, our spouses say. We've heard Giselle pop off. We've heard Tom Brady father pop off. We've seen Baker Mayfield's wife pop off. Like, what are we talking about, man? Listen, I don't think that this is something that Odell Beckham, what do you want to do, go curse his dad out? Like, he's had to be respectful there as well. Listen, this hasn't worked out, and I think that, they need to do him a favor and let him go. But, the fact remains the same that Baker hasn't performed well. Go ahead, Dan. Go, please. Please, report.
Well, no, let me take this, because here's the deal. I've been on the air for weeks saying Odell Beckham Jr. needs to go.
Yeah.
I say, don't tell me he's done. This brother can ball, and I believe that if he went to a right situation with a better quarterback, which to me Baker Mayfield is not. I think Baker Mayfield is a slightly above average quarterback. That's how I view Baker Mayfield. I actually consider him the weak link of their offense. Your offensive line is stout. Your running game is stout. You got quality receivers and tight ends. The only question mark with your offense is Baker Mayfield. I've been on the record saying that, and I definitely don't believe Odell Beckham Jr. is done. And I definitely think that you're doing Odell Beckham Jr. a favor by letting him not report. But that doesn't negate the fact that Dan is right that he has to go. What we're saying, Dan, is that that's what Odell Beckham Jr. wants. He wants it to get to a point where you get him out of there. He was begging for them to get him out of there before the trade deadline, and they didn't. So really, the issue is with Stefanski because of some of the play calling. Baker Mayfield has some culpability, and also with GM Berry, who is very well aware that that Odell Beckham Jr. did not want to be there any longer, and you didn't get rid of him. You kept him around. So to me, I look at them and I say, what's up with that? The brother didn't want to be there. He wasn't being utilized effectively enough. And not only that, he could have a cancerous effect on the locker room because he's a miserable individual being there. He's absolutely miserable. It's been reported all over the place. Why was he there after the trading deadline? That's the issue.
And I get that, but you can't have the vantage point of I'm giving Odell what he wants. That is why I brought up a Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter what Odell wants or I'm doing him a favor. I have to do this for my football team. My football team, my quarterback, we cannot move forward if he's still on this roster. Am I doing him a favor or am I giving him what he wants? I don't care. I have to focus on what's the best thing for the Browns.